Look, there's no such thing as the perfect
Mouse, everyone is fond of.
Okay, there's at least one perfect monster. Hello everybody, and welcome to a talk that is perhaps hard to categorize, but one that I think is very much worth having. I propose that in Monster Hunter 6, we should get a new category of wyvern. I know, that's a crazy statement, right? Imagine wanting something like a new category of wyvern with cool new monsters in it. Am I insane? However, okay, a new category of wyvern where the first member of that category is Malfestio. But I hear you cry. Malfestio is already a bird wyvern. Obviously, because it's a bird. A literal bird. Like, full-on bird. It's got a bird body and a bird shape with bird wings and bird legs and looks like a bird and stands like a bird and flies like a bird and fights like a bird. It's a bird. Yes, that is true. And you probably don't want me to say the word bird again, but sadly I'm going to have to a fair few times throughout this little discussion. But you know what else is a bird wyvern? Yeah, this dinosaur raptor monster. And yes, of course, I know that birds are modern descendants of dinosaurs, and it is an entirely accurate statement to say that a, well, bird is a dinosaur. I mean, they're literally called raptors for a reason. But you know what I'm getting at here. There is a very distinct, let's say, aesthetic and, bodily, ecological difference between, like, a great jaggy and a Malfestio owl bird. There's also a big distinct difference between something like a Yangaruga and this. Now, Yangaruga is a bit more birdy. It's got some plumage, it's got the wings, it has that kind of chickeny, sort of twitchy birdness to it. You describe it as bird-like, bird-adjacent, the same with something like Yankutku or Kurapeko. But in all these examples, it is clear that Malfestio is the birdiest bird in the bird wyverns, to the point where I think he actually doesn't belong in the category, because bird wyvern, to me, based on everything that's there, is scaled reptile with bird-esque features and mannerisms. And when you have Malfestio that is just a literal bird, it's not bird-like, it's not a wyvern-like a bird. I'm wyvern-like a bird, I'll only go squawk. Why is he here? Either every other bird wyvern is in the wrong category, or Malfestio is in the wrong category. But let me put across another example. Imagine if Rajang, a fanged beast, was actually just lumped in with the fanged wyverns, like Zenogre. Well, what are the fanged wyverns? The fanged wyverns are mammal-esque animals, i.e. wolf, but with reptilian features, like the scales. Whereas fanged beasts are just full-on proper, it's just a mammal. Rajang just is a monkey. He's not got scales, he's not got reptile qualities, he's not dragony, he's just a honest-to-goodness monkey mammal. Whereas as an ogre, yeah, it's classically a wolf, but it's a lizard wolf, etc. It's got the scaling. So I put it to you that the bird wyverns should be split into bird wyverns and bird somethings, the same way that fanged beasts and fanged wyverns are two different but related categories. And in this new bird something category, Malfestio would be recategorized, and that's something that's happened before with a lot of monsters, into it, and then it should gain some new members. And all of this is a very long-winded way of saying that when I was talking about what I think the flagship of Monster Hunter 6 should be, how I think a Snake Wyvern flagship like a Najarala-esque shape would be perfect, I realized that when I was talking about the bird wyverns, I suggested the idea of another proper bird like Malfestio being a flagship. That'd be really cool, there's a lot of things you could do with that, but then it did hit me, wait a minute, For a Monster Hunter game, and the series as a whole that draws from so many real-life animals so truly in such well-done ways that you can just see the proper, accurate research into the ecology of real creatures, how have we not got, you know, the eagle monster, or more straight-up giant birds? To borrow over to Wild Hearts for an example, something like Amaterasu, you know, the actual full-on phoenix, the bird, flame. I've said birds so many times and I'm still so sorry. That is an example of the kind of thing that it's strange to me that we've not got in Monster Hunter. At least, not got more than one of, because yes, Malfestio is very much just an owl. So the idea of getting a proper eagle monster, or like a vulture monster, or I don't know, a nectar-drinking hummingbird-esque bird, like maybe Foro Kururu in Frontier, that sort of thing. And yes, he has the more Bird Wyvern-y shape, he sits forward like Yangaruga Yankaku, but he certainly carries the aesthetic I'm talking about here, and you could reshape him to be a more normal, as we come to know it, bird shape. I just think it would be fascinating and fun, because birds are such quirky creatures. I think the Bird Wyverns, on the whole, probably have the best in-combat and out-of-combat personalities of every category of monster. They're really fun to fight, and yes, a lot of them have been resigned to that sort of early-game easier challenge. I mean, the most threatening Bird Wyvern that exists is Yangaruga. Obviously, technically, it's Nightcloak Malfestio as a deviant, but if we ignore, you know, alternate versions, it's Yangaruga, and he is, like, just under flagship tier Apex-esque level at best, so that's kind of a shame, really. I feel like the Bird Wyverns really deserve that big deal, impactful, like the Goss Harag level entry. And I think it would be best, most beautifully done, by taking Malfestio and Nightcloak, putting it into a new bird-something category, and adding more true bird-like creatures and monsters for us to fight, that properly flap and soar and, you know, don't run around on their scaly legs like a Rathalos does, but they actually exhibit and use the traits of birds as we know them. I mean, yes, you could even go into a more grounded version and do a take on like something like an ostrich, or, you know, get a bit more prehistoric and go full terror bird, and that thing is, well, terrifying. It's very aptly named, if I'm completely honest with you, and that could be an alternate version of a monster in this new category. Ground bird, but it's not scaly reptile-y, it's still proper bird, and then fly bird, like Malfestio or an eagle monster or said vulture monster, and so on and so forth. Anknasom is definitely a more interesting example. He is fairly birdy, right? But he's still got the scales. He's still got that little bit of wyvern in him very clearly, but I totally think he could perhaps go into this new category too, because he's very much more a crane than he is anything else. So that's kind of my initial 2 cents on this as a proposition for a whole new category of monster in Monster Hunter 6 that isn't too sort of out there and actually incorporates some existing roster, and yes, somewhat selfishly lets us see Malfestio again as a definitive member of my top 3 monsters. It's no secret, of course, how much I love owls and how much I love him as an owl monster. Nightcloak specifically, I think, is just amazing. How he fights, his color scheme, the invisibility, the item stealing. I mean, just by himself, he had so many elements that other monsters cannot and don't bring, and just putting Malfestio and Nightcloak in the game adds so much diversity to the fights and the roster in just one entry. Even just the confusion reversing controls is a really, really nice touch. And hell, you could actually do something which I have kinda wanted, which is a bat-esque monster too, and it could go into this category. Yes, Palumu was sort of vaguely heading in that direction, but no, like a proper bat, a bat, like a flying flying fox that you see hanging from the ceiling before it unfurls its wings and goes for you, even though in real life they're fairly peaceful creatures, but you know what I'm saying. I feel like we don't have the space for true feathered beings, if that makes sense, and I think adding that would add a whole dimension of monster that very much fits in with the rest, and give us another very much related category like Fanged Wyvern, Fanged Beast, but on the more bird side of things, and finally give the birds a more higher tier endgame presence and threat with some more designs, because bottom line, an Elder Dragon level monster in Malfestio's skeleton and general shape, doing its bird things, would be mesmerizing to behold, and it's something I truly hope we do get to behold. And congratulations, everybody, you've made it to the end of Bird! Well, that's the last time I was going to say Bird. Well, okay, that was the last time. You get what I'm trying to say, okay? Cool! Let me know what your thoughts are on that, and if you had to add a new category of wyvern based on an actual, group of animals, what would it be? Until next time, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a good bird.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world our stage. Goodbye.